Today we're talking about one of the most popular and beginner-friendly houseplants, the Monstera deliciosa. If you're just getting started with houseplants, this is the perfect plant for you. I'll show you everything that you need to know, including how much light it needs, when to water it, what kind of fertilizer to use, why moss poles or trellises can actually help this plant grow, and how to propagate your Monstera. Stick around to the end because I'm going to be sharing a bonus tip to make propagation super easy. Let's start with lighting. Monsteras love bright indirect light. That means they like a lot of light, but not direct sunlight. If the sun shines right on their leaves for too long, they can actually get burned. The best spot is near an east or west facing window. If you only have a north facing window, your Monstera might need some help from a grow light. Now, Monsteras can survive in lower light, but they'll grow slower and their leaves might not develop those cool splits and holes that we call fenestrations. So if you want those big, beautiful leaves, give your Monstera plenty of light. Next up, watering. This is where many beginners go wrong, but it's easy to get it right. Water your Monstera when the top 2 to 3 inches of soil feel dry. You can check this by sticking your finger into the soil or by using a moisture meter. If you water too often, your leaves might turn yellow. That's a sign of overwatering. If the leaves start dropping or wilting, it's probably thirsty and it needs a drink. Monsteras are somewhat drought tolerant, so if you happen to forget a watering, it'll be okay if it dries out in between waterings. And in fact, this is actually how I prefer to water my Monsteras. I let them dry out completely and then I give them a thorough soak, making sure that they're not dried out for too long in between waterings. In winter, Monsteras don't need as much water because they grow a little bit slower due to the days being shorter. So make sure you're not overwatering during the colder months. Now let's talk about soil. Monsteras need well-draining soil to stay healthy. If the soil holds too much water, the roots can rot and that's bad news for your plant. To make sure your Monstera is really happy, mix your own chunky soil blend. Here's an easy recipe that anybody can make with ingredients that can be found at a local Home Depot or even a Lowe's. That's going to include 1 part potting soil, 1 part orchid bark, and 1 part perlite. By adding in that orchid bark, adding in that perlite, you're going to be able to increase the airflow to the roots and improve drainage in your soil. Mix all those ingredients together and you'll have the perfect soil that keeps water moving while still holding enough moisture for the roots. I love this mix because it actually mimics the Monstera's natural environment in the jungle. Trust me, your Monstera is going to absolutely love this mix. Let's talk about fertilizer. Monsteras don't need much, but they do like a boost during the growing season, spring and summer. I recommend using a balanced liquid fertilizer once a month. Follow the directions on the bottle and don't overdo it. Too much fertilizer can actually burn the roots. In fall and winter, you can fertilize less or not at all since the plant isn't growing as fast. If you prefer something a little bit more natural, try using an organic fertilizer like worm castings. They're great for plants and provide just an extra little boost of nitrogen, which results in bigger foliage. So if you didn't know by now, Monsteras are actually natural climbers. In the wild, they climb up trees using their aerial roots. At home, you can give your Monstera a moss pole or a trellis to climb. All you have to do is place the moss pole or trellis in the pot and then gently tie or clip the stems to the support. Climbing helps your Monstera grow bigger leaves and stronger stems. Plus, in my personal opinion, I think they just look really cool when they're climbing up something. If you decide you want to go with a moss pole, it will require a little bit more maintenance. I recommend keeping the moss pole damp. This actually encourages the aerial roots to attach, making your plant even happier. Now, let's dive into propagation, making more Monsteras from your plant. Number 1, look for a node. It's the bumpy part of the stem where the roots grow. Number 2, use clean scissors or pruners to cut just below the node. After you cut the plant, I recommend you wait until that stem calluses over. This is going to prevent any stem rot from happening. Number 3, you're going to decide on a propagation medium. There's a few different ways you could go about this. The easiest way is going to be sticking it in water. You could also just put it straight into soil, although the success rate might not be as high. You could also use moss, perlite, you name it. There's a lot of different ways. I'll probably dive into that in another video. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments down below. At the end of the day, easiest way, throw it in some water until the roots circle the bottom. If you're propagating in water, I recommend changing the water when it starts to look a little gross, a little murky. You'll probably know when. Some people recommend actually changing out the water every week. But I personally don't do this because I feel like there's so much of that rooting hormone that the plant produces in that water. I want it to just maintain all of that goodness. Once you have roots that are circling the bottom, that are pushing out secondary roots, that's a good sign that you can actually transfer it to soil or whatever medium you prefer. At the very least, wait until those roots are 2 to 3 inches. I love propagating. It's a great way to grow new plants for free, and being able to share those plants with your friends makes the hobby that much more enjoyable. I hope these tips help you feel confident about caring for your Monstera deliciosa. If you found this video helpful, please consider showing some love by giving a thumbs up, dropping a comment. It actually helps and encourages me to continue making videos like the ones that you're watching right now. By the way, YouTube thinks that you're gonna like this video right here, so check it out and I'll see you in the next one.